Aha. Uh, okay, my PC recognized game as a game. Well, I guess gotta be enemies. But why not check? Okay, the game supports controller, that's good. Which? Why does it not recognize? Ah, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? I would check. Game is being streamed on my channel. Yes, it is. Great. Stream manager. Okay. Background. Start. I don't think I want director's commentary. It's a bit annoying. Walking soon. Enjoy the view. Have some fun. Still.
Dear Esther, I sometimes feel as if I've given birth to this island. Somewhere between the longitude and latitude, a split opened up, and it beached remotely here. No matter how hard I correlate, it remains a singularity, an alpha point in my life that refuses all hypothesis. I return each time leaving fresh markers that I hope, in the full glare of my hopelessness, will have blossomed into fresh insight in the interim.
Can I like turn on subtitles? Because closed cap. I think that will make it clearer for everyone. Oh, chemistry. Chemistry. Right. Oh, doors? I can zoom. All my buttons just. Okay. Then let's go up the hill. That looks inviting. I like it when games that feed audio also give the option to turn on and off the closed caption. I think it's a great accessibility feature. Shouldn't be that hard to. Turn here. I admittedly never played like any kind of walking simulator. I want to see what kind of experience this. Because I've got to own a few. Something I've never told so far is that most of the games I play are ones that I own either through Epic Game Store, like free games, or because I once bought a Support Ukraine Humble Bundle thingy. And because of that I have like a backlog of more than 100 games only on Steam and Epic. And I thought, hey, why not play through them and stream it? But I actually play through the indie games and stuff.
At night, you can see the lights sometimes from a passing tanker or trawler. From up on the cliffs, they are mundane. But down here, they fugue into ambiguity. For instance, I cannot readily tell if they belong above or below the waves. The distinction now seems banal. Why not everything and all at once? There's nothing better to do here than indulge in contradictions whilst waiting for the fabric of life to unravel.
Just like more of a melancholic experience. Looks nice. But yeah, so to make myself to play through them and actually do it, but why not stream it? Would be a fun idea.
Dear Esther, I found myself to be as featureless as this ocean, as shallow and unoccupied as this bay, a listless wreck without identification. My rocks are these bones, and a careful fence to keep the precipice at bay. Shot through me caves, my forehead a mount. This aerial will transmit into me so. All overexposed, the nervous system, where Donnelly's boots and yours and mine still trample. I will carry a torch for you. I will leave it at the foot of my headstone. You will need it for the tunnels that carry me under.
Upside. Did I lost? Normally I thought that's the character, but like can't interact with anything. Just a walking. If I remember correctly, this was made with Unity since the light market. Not like. Heck. Why am I lost the fucking walkies? I think this is a nice pace of play. I just have to, I can just relaxingly play a story and don't have to think. Or like do any gameplay or puzzles or whatever. Unlike in Most or Inside. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, they were good games. But I don't know, sometimes doing they are still. I think this was like one of the earlier walking sims from that like ZV genre. Find it, and since I'm a game developer, I want to learn more about games as a whole. I think playing games like these is very important. Even though in the end it might be that I can like experience, I can experience it and understand it to a degree. Of course, to some degree,
The mount is clearly the focal point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings, and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then?
just be actual me rambling. I just truly think that stuff like this has value. And that's also why I played various games, various jobs.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
I mean, I played.
We are not like Lot's wife, you and I. We feel no particular need to turn back. There's nothing to be seen if we did. No tired old man parting the cliffs with his arms. No gifts or Bibles laid out on the sand for the taking. No tides turning or the shrieking gulls overhead. The bones of the hermit are no longer laid out for the taking. I have stolen them away to the guts of this island, where the passages all run to black, and where we can light each other's faces by their strange luminescence.
I turn the sound a bit louder. Oh, I need to do that through settings. Come on. Yep. Can actually. Dark clouds. The way we're sliding.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I find myself increasingly unable to find that point where the hermit ends and Paul and I begin. We are woven into a sodden blanket, stuffed into the bottom of a boat to stop the leak and hold back the ocean. My neck aches from staring up at the aerial. It mirrors the dull throb in my gut where I am sure I've begun to form another stone. In my dreams, it forms into a perfect representation of Lot's wife, head over her shoulder, staring along the motorway at the approaching traffic in a vacuum of fatalistic calm.
He doesn't seem like the happiest.
Come back.
Drown once. Wait, I drowned? Oops. Well, at least I doesn't. Where am I? Okay, guess I can't even die in this fucky. But I'm probably not the only. Right? Right? Also, this is a rather short experience. Because I wouldn't want to. I mean, I'm not cooking much, so. Could take longer if it needs. I need right here. Oh. Yes? I really like that music. Very melancholic.
I've become convinced I am not alone here, even though I'm equally sure it is simply a delusion brought upon by circumstance. I do not, for instance, remember where I found the candles, or why I took it upon myself to light such a strange pathway. Perhaps it is only for those who are bound to follow.
What? What is... What? Oh, you have to read it from the side? Weights in chemistry. Chemistry. It was a very chill and relaxing experience. One where you like do much, but take it in. A bit like a movie that we need that in today's day and age. I think times where attention spans are sinking. People are way too quick about everything and rushing them. I think sometimes you experience where you don't do anything. Listen to people. This is a small reminder to everyone listening that sometimes you should just contact your elders. Finish the chapter of the lighthouse.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services, but although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
That ashore something. I missed that. Yeah, I think this is a good reminder to some of you that maybe you should just hit up your grandparents, talk to them for a bit. They've got loads of stories to tell. Of course, there are not all grandparents are nice, but you need to keep in contact with. If they treated you nicely and at least tried their best, just give them a call, would make their day. Listening to them and talking to them would make yours. Maybe just if it's not, you don't have to like travel half the world to do so. Yes, which somewhat is the case for me since I live by plane. I need to just fly a bit over 2 hours, but also I would fly.
All night the boy has kept me lucid. I sat when I was at the very edge of despair, when I thought I would never unlock the secret of the island. I sat at the edge and I watched the idiot boy blink through the night. He's mute and he is retarded, and he has no thought in his metal head but to blink each wave and each minute aside until the morning comes and renders him blind as well as deaf-mute. In many ways, we have much in common.
That wasn't a word you should use. But anyway, yeah. For me, sadly, it's the case that grandparents that treat me nicely and try to have contact with me are living on the other side of Europe, basically. And while I try to somewhat keep in contact with, there's also like a language barrier, which is a bit harder. I guess I speak a bit of Romanian, but not as well as I should. When I'm there, it's fine because of the language skills. Oh wow, it actually worked. Fuck. I expected to die. Let's see. But like the story, we're like a guy that stranded on an island, and basically like a diary. It might be even interesting. I thought he was like an lone old guy. Had like all his friends and family die. Or rather like he outlived them, not really had to die. I mean they died, but you get what I'm saying. Being stranded and having nothing to walking around. Your little diary in case anyone ever hears you. Sounds awful. Very interesting thing if it takes like a very dark and sad angle, or if the story just happens as an happy ending and it's going to be like, that's the Esther why I'm happy with something I survived.
There must be a hole in the bottom of the boat. How else could new hermits have arrived?
Can I climb up? Game want me to... Okay, I can't go to the hermits or boat. See if I can go to the right back there, and I did like a skip that I didn't want to do. I think having like a third experience like this is very nice. Obviously I couldn't just play games, I mean I have a bunch of other walking sims, but my next few streams won't just be exclusively walking sims.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
But I think sometimes having like an experience like this is very nice and fresh and refreshing. I didn't want that. I also really like how there's like no music for a good time. And just the atmospheric sounds. The wind howling, grass, clouds screaming, all that stuff. Very nice change of pace. Get those clouds, man. No, wait, I came from here. Yeah. Maybe I need to go like there between mountains, hills. Not really mountains. But hey, it's not like I'm wasting the game. Real experience is part of enjoying video games, because not all video games have to be like in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Kimbo G2, G18, and Sky H and all that stuff. Sometimes the games can be just this. Just a man walking around, abandoned island, keeping a diary to himself to keep himself somewhat safe. You could argue that this is like the most insane thing to do. Yeah. But I don't know if I would behave it. And nothing bad happened. Maybe two mountains, hills. What the world brings. Maybe I'm just walking in a big circle, but that's part of the enjoyment of walking. No, I think direction I was coming from, right? Where did it come from? Huh. I got lost. I guess. Ooh. Oh, didn't I? Now seems like a break. Up here.
I've begun to climb, away from the sea and towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
I really like the view. Game. It looks pretty. I think there's much we can hold action. Currently, I'm reading a book.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
My heart is landfill. These false dawns waking into the still never light. I sweat for you in the small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass. I have always heard the waves break on these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me is this Hebridean music.
And now talking about the book that I'm reading. Okay, thank you. I'm currently reading a book that's English title is, I think, something along the lines, No, I Don't Want to Join a Book Club. I interrupted. I fall down.
Come back.
Okay, no, there's no... Yes, there is one. Like from falling off a cliff once, let's go. Achievements. The book is about a 60-year-old woman who is retiring and just started a diary. And it's very interesting seeing how old people approach the world, they see the world, and how new technology is like...
Jakobsen's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird.
And what you do when you retire and how the world then looks. It also is talking about becoming a grandmother.
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. He'd struggled halfway down the cliff path, perhaps looking for some lost goat, or perhaps in a delirium, and expired, curled into a claw right under the winter moon. Even the animals shunned his corpse. The mainlanders thought to bring it home unlucky. Donnelly claims they dragged it to the caves to thaw out and rot, but he is proving an unreliable witness.
Or in general, like how it is to be a grandparent. and how the world changes when like a new character appears. And that's very nice to see currently. I also
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
But yeah, that's a very nice book. So far I can recommend. Done with it, I'm like, I don't know how many pages am I deep.
Did Jakobsen crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Page 100. There seems to be a story more about like accepting death, dying alone. And not in a happy way. Most people imagine hoping they die. Oh, this is a very beautiful. I love caves with stalactites and stuff. I love mushroom.
They'd stopped the traffic back as far as the Sandford Junction and come up the hard shoulder like radio signals from another star. It took 21 minutes for them to arrive. I watched Paul time it to the second on his watch.
Thanks for the raid deeds. Currently I'm playing a walking sim. That's mostly just me enjoying a game. Chilling with it. I really enjoy it. About Dear Esther. About a guy that apparently got lost on a shore and coping with the fact that he'll die alone. Oh, nice. So far I'm enjoying it. I wanted to see how like walking sims are and if they're like a genre I can enjoy for myself. I can enjoy playing. And so far I'm enjoying it. Also because this looks really nice. Look at all those waterfalls. Green. Let's see if you can swim. Okay. Let's see if you can get out of here. Hopefully. Also, like, the music in this game so far is really good. Very melancholic and depressing, but it's also like just the sweet spot. In general, sound design has been very pleasant. Very nice. Can I see up here? Ah, okay. I'm very impressed by the fact that they remade the entire game in Unity. It was kind of like a director's cut. I don't know, remaking a game in another game engine and maybe even programming language seems like a big hassle. Even though this doesn't seem like that big of a programming task. More just really assets and writing. You most likely can reuse. At least when you know what you're doing. Rooms of lighting. That was good. Be interested in seeing who made this game and people behind it. How much experience they're having and what the vision was.
I'm
Basically.
traversing my own death throes. The infection in my leg is an oil rig that dredges black muck up from deep inside my bones. I swallow fistfuls of diazepam and paracetamol to stay conscious. The pain flows through me like an underground sea.
Oh really? Those are the Amnesia devs? Ooh. That's very interesting. I own the first... I own like 3 Amnesia games. I've never really gotten into horror games. I don't know, most of the time I just don't find them scary. Rather like, ever since I've like became a game dev and known how to make them, all the like scary parts of them have gotten away from me. It's more like intriguiness and interested in that. When I see a monster I don't think, oh my god that's so scary, I think more like, ooh, how was this made? This looks disgusting but also very technically impressive. And actually started the walking simulator genre. Yeah. Always super nice when people just make a genre. Vampire Survivors was like one of the more modern examples of just making a genre. Or like inspiring many people on creating a certain amount of games. I always find
This
super
cannot be
impressive.
the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
Behold, Damascus Bacon? Bacon? Okay. Things look so surreal with all the chemistry and stuff. And is this the start from Metroid Prime 4? I can definitely see this being made by horror game devs. Away from B. I don't want to play Amnesia. I own the games, like I just do look them up and go for it. I don't know how fun they will be to play and watch. Because they're most likely not really my genre. I mean I like horror movies, but like I personally prefer thrillers if I'm being honest. And for some wait for a second, so it's underwater. Damn, this breathing is good. Played Inside yesterday and that boy couldn't breathe. Like, he had to breathe all the time. Couldn't hold his breath. I need to go down there or around? Okay, I need to go down. Also a very nice change of pace to not have a game that's like hard, that has any difficulty to it. Just an experience. Oh, the time to die? Time to say goodbye to this crude world. I hope my character's life was at least bearable and interesting and not miserable in the slightest. That would be great. Oh. Gotta live. I always like when I'm just playing and then I hear the sound. Or like it's an achievement. Breaks immersion a bit if I'm being honest.